Okay, so we will now start with the very first logical question that we have here, which is removing duplicate elements from a array. So in fact, all of these things, logic that we are going to build here is not required. In Java, you can do these things in one line. But however, in interview, they will expect you to build a small logic on removing duplicate elements. But later in my further classes, you will see removing duplicate elements, sorting an array. All of these things can be done in a much simple manner using a concept of Stream API, which is Java 8 feature. But however, from interview point of view, we will learn this. I'll try to make this concept as simple as possible so that you will be able to remember the concept. So let's create one array. Let's assume now I have an array called as X, and this array X okay, so this array X has some values in it which are repeated. Now what are the values we have? We have values like 3, then again, then 4, then 4, then 5, then 5 and 6. Now if you observe here, these are the values that we have got it in the array. What are the values? Can you please read out? We have 3, then we have 4, then we have 5, and then we have 6. So 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. Now these values that you see here, are they in sequence or they are not in sequence? They are in sequence from smallest to largest. First there is 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Which means this array is already sorted. But there are duplicate values. So whatever logic I'm going to teach you now, this should be applied only when the values are in sequence. It is sorted, lowest number to highest number. The arrangement of the values should be in this manner. Then only the logic that I'm going to teach would work. Correct? Now the first value here 3, let's assume that's at index 0. 4, it is at index 1. Then again we have 4, then we have 5, then we have again 5, and then finally what you see here is 6. Okay, so now let's understand how to sort this array from the theory point of view. Indexes 0, 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then after we have the index 5. Now when I remove duplicate elements, I should get the output as 3, 4, 5, 6. Right now it is 3, 4, 4 duplicate, 5 and 5 duplicate, then 6. The output should be 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what should happen after I remove duplicate elements. But now keep this in mind, the elements are supposed to be in sequence. Again I'm repeating this rule. If they are not in order from smallest to largest, this logic would not work. Okay, so how do we do this now? First step would be I will create one array called as temp, and the size of array temp I will keep it same as the size of array X. I'll create one array called as temp, and this array temp size I'm going to keep it same as X. Can you tell me what is the size of X? 6. What is the size? 6. And what is the size of temp? It is 6. Step 1, create an array which is of same size, which we have done that. Step number 2, you will compare the neighboring elements. Now when I say neighboring elements, the neighboring element for 0 is 1. For 1, the neighboring element would be 2. Then you compare 2 with 3. 3 with 4 and 4 with 5. So how do I do this comparison now? In order to do this comparison, understand here, I'm going to take this as I. I'm going to take this value as what I. Let me write it here. If this is I, obviously the next value will become I plus 1. Do you agree with that? So now when I tell you compare the neighboring elements, you're comparing I with I plus 1. The next neighboring elements comparison would be again I with I plus 1. Now if I is 2, its neighboring element is I plus 1. If I is 3, its neighboring element is I plus 1. If I is 4, its neighboring element is I plus 1, that is 5. Now this is the comparison you will be doing here. Now how we will compare is, I will take array x of I, and if that is not equal to x of I plus 1, if they are not equal, then what we will do, that is a question. So let's see this here. Now here I to begin with is 0, I plus 1 is 1. So we are going to compare now the value 3 not equal to 4. Is it true or false? It is true. They are not equal. Whenever the neighboring element values are not equal, you will just copy the value from index I to temp which is going to be at index j. So here j is 0. Again I am repeating, listen carefully. I started comparing neighboring element. The first comparison is what I have done so far. The first comparison is what I have done so far, comparing 0, x of 0 with x of 1. Now at x of 0 it is 3, not equal to 4. When they are not equal true, you will simply copy the value from position I to j. What is I here? 0. What is I here? 0. Copy the value from index I to j. And after you copy the value, increment j by 1. Increment j by 1. Did you understand the first step? Again compare I with I plus 1. Now when you compare this time, let's see this here. What happens? 4 not equal to 4. Now 4 is not equal to 4. It is false. They are equal. If it was not equal, true. They are equal. If they are equal, do not copy the value from x to temp. Just proceed further with the next comparison. Let's compare now. Let us now compare the value present at index 2 with 3. What is present at 2? 4. 4 is not equal to 5. Is it true or false? It is true. Now what will you do when it is true? You will copy the value from index I. The value from index I. This is the value at index I. Don't copy from I plus 1. From index I you will copy to index j, and after copying, increment j by 1. J will be incremented by 1 only after you copy the value from the array x to temp. Now let's do the next comparison. What is the next comparison? You are comparing value at index 3 with 4. What is the value at index 3? 5. Not equal to 5. Is it true or false? False. If it is false, do not copy the value. Now the next iteration is going to be compare 4 with 5. Let's compare here. 4 not equal to 5. Is it true or false? Now this is true. Sorry, we need to compare 5 with 6. 5 with 6. Correct? They're not equal. If they're not equal, simply copy the value at index I. Copy the value which is present at index I to j, and once you copy to j, increment j by 1. Till here, all neighboring elements are compared. Do you agree with that? Did we compare 0 with 1? 1 with 2, 2 with 3, 3 with 4, and 4 with 5. All comparisons are done. But now the last logic here will be when you reach end of the array, which means when you reach the last index of an array. Whenever you reach the last index of the array, which is the last index? When you reach the last index of the array, simply copy the value from this index, that is 5 here. Simply copy the value as it is to j, and then again j will be incremented by 1. Now when you don't initialize 4 and 5, arrays will always take default value, so 0 and 0 will get stored. We'll see how to exclude this later, right? But did you understand this logic? Please tell me, everyone. The theory part, is this clear for you? Theory part, is this clear for you? Please tell me. Okay, now that we have done this, let us continue further. Now we'll start building logic for the same. So I will just go back to this class A, and here I'm going to write the logic for the same. Okay, let's start with that. The first step would be create an array with the values that I mentioned. So let me create here an array int. Let's write here x, and now I can dynamically store the values in it. When you use a curly braces, it will now keep storing the values, and the size of array will keep increasing depending on the values that you are storing. Example, currently there are no values stored. So if you now look at the x dot length output here, it is going to be 0. Now why this is 0? The length is 0 because there are no values stored in it. But now what I'll do, I'll store values 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Now if you notice, how many values are present in it? 5. So the length is going to be automatically 5. Can you see this here? So as per whatever explanation I gave with the values, I'm taking same values now. Now the first step that you're supposed to do here is this. Create one array which is same size as that of x. So I'm going to write int. I'll create one array temp, and the size of this new int of x dot length. What will happen now? When I'm now creating an array here temp, the size of temp, I'm matching it to size of x by replacing here x dot length. Now when I do that, both the array sizes will become same. Is the first part clear? Second part, you need to compare 0 with 1, 1 with 2. Neighboring elements you need to compare. Correct? In order to compare the neighboring elements, the comparison logic needs to be repeated. It's the same comparison logic which will repeat. So what I'll do is I'll use a for loop, and here I'll start with int I is equal to 0, I less than x dot length, and then I plus plus. And in order to compare, I will use if condition if x of I is not equal to x of I plus 1. Let's run only this much of the logic. Let's do that. I'm putting a breakpoint here. I'll run this in debug mode. Now, before I start the debugging, I want you people to tell me what is the last index number. Index number, not size. Index is 5, size is 6. Because index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The last index is 5. Do you agree with that? Everyone? Now to begin with, what is the value of I? To begin with, what is the value of I? 0. Very good. So if I now step over, can you please tell me when I is 0, what this will become? Okay, put together. So you will just take this and this will become 1, which means x of 0 you're comparing with x of 1. You're comparing 0 with 1. There's no problem. Now let's again look at this. I is 1. Now when I is 1, this will become, so you're comparing 1 with 2. Okay, I don't see any trouble so far. Things looks fine. Now again I'll step over. What is the value of I? So if I is 2, I plus 1 will become, so you're comparing 2 with 3. Okay, no problem. Next, I is 3. When I is 3, I plus 1 will become, so you're comparing now 3 with 4. When you're comparing 3 with 4, no problem. Correct? Now you're going to compare, I is 4. So you're going to now compare 4 with 5. You'll compare 4 with 5. There is no problem. But now, when value of I becomes 5, understand, when I is 5, this will become 6. Do you have 6th index here? So what is the exception we are getting? Array index out of bounds exception. Can you tell me why did we get this? Because you're exceeding the size of an array, which means somewhere our logic is wrong. You understand how important debugging is now, right? So far you all have been learning using a pen, pencil, paper, writing down, trying to understand the logic. When the trainer is telling 10 times, you will try to do it. Then finally when nothing works, you will by heart the logic, right? So when you debug, you understand the thing at which step this has failed. Firstly analyze and tell me. When the value of I was 5, it failed. How will you fix this now? Which means you should not reach I is equal to 5. When value of I becomes 5, this is failing. So we should now not reach the value of I to be 5. How will you do it? He says, make this minus 1. Now when you make it minus 1, length minus 1 is 5. So this will be replaced with 5. 0 less than 5. Loop will run 0 to 4. Check this out. Let's stop. Again, let's debug. Now just observe quickly. This time, I'm going to now check I is 1, comparing 0 with 1. Okay. I is 1, you're comparing 1 with 2. Fine. Now the value of I is 2, comparing 2 with 3. Now you're comparing I is 3, comparing 3 with 4. Now there's a last value, 4. I is 4, this is 5. Last index is 5. And now the loop stops. Make sense? Everyone, why did we write down length minus 1? Now the logic is, whenever this condition is true, you have to copy the value from x to temp. You have to copy the value from array x to temp and increment the value in temp, which is j, by 1. What do you mean by that? Firstly, I'll create here one iterator for temp. Int j is equal to 0. And now here, I need to copy the value to temp of j from x of I. Correct? Now j is 0. So temp of 0. To that you will copy the value from the position x of I. And once you copy, increment j by 1. This is what I mentioned. Yes. Let's now debug this. Right click, debug. Observe now what is going to happen here. So let's proceed further. What is the value present in x? These are the values. Now you're comparing 1, you're comparing 0 with 1. True. You see that? True. They're not equal. When not equal, you're copying the value from x of I. What is present at I? From x of I, you're copying to j. Did it get copied? Yes. And now j was 0. But once I do this plus plus, you see next time j will become 1. Can you see what is the j value now? It got changed because of incrementation. Now observe. False. Why false? You're comparing 1 with 2. They are equal. False. So you will not enter the if condition. Now you're comparing 2 with 3. You're comparing index 2 with 3. True. If true, copy the value from index I. This is I. Copy the value from index I to temp. Did we copy? And now the value of j changed to be, you copy the value and you're incrementing j by 1. Did you understand now? Now let's proceed further. False. You're comparing value at position 3 with 4. They are equal. False. So no copying of value. Now look at that. You're comparing 4 with 5. They are not equal. When you compare 4 with 5, they are not equal. When they are not equal, true, you're copying the value, and you notice now temp got this value 5, and you're incrementing j by 1, and then the loop stops. But now the whole point here is, when you go to temp, you see the values copied is only 3, 4 and 5. The last value 6 is not copied. Yes, 3, 4, 5 is copied. See, 3, 4, 5 is copied, but the last value is not copied. So if you look at the array has the last value 6, but the temp has only 3, 4, 5, then default values. If you don't store anything in temp, default 0, 0, 0 is being stored. How do I resolve this now? So if you observe, I mentioned one statement. When you reach end of the array, copy that value as it is to temp. So this is the closing bracket of temp. Can you see this line? This is the closing bracket of, for loop. Go outside the for loop, copy that value to temp, okay, as it is from the last value of x, which is x dot length minus 1. So this is the last index of x. Yes or no? So from index 5, copy it as it is. Now let's debug and see whether those values are getting copied. Observe. Step 1, right? The first value copied. This logic already we understood. Second value copied. Now see. 5 got copied. Now the loop ends. But now here is where we have wrote the logic. The temp at 3, 4, 5. Now this logic will copy the last index value 6 to temp when I step over. Did it copy? Which means now our new array temp has got the values wherein duplicate values are removed, but it also has 0, and the current value of j happens to be 3. The current value of j is what? 3. Now how did we get this 3? If you're copying 4 times the value to temp, the value of j is 3. Because the value of j started with 0. First time value copied 0. Second time value copied 1. Second time value copied 2. Third time value copied 3. 4 values I copied, so it is 3. What if I copy 5 values? Then the value of j will be 4. Do you agree with that? What if I copy 10 values to temp? Then the value of j will be 9. So what I'll do now, based on this, I'll build a further logic. In order to print temp, I'll use a for loop. Int m is equal to 0, colon, m less than or equal to j. What is j right now? 3. Less than or equal to 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is that? This is 3, right? This is 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4, 5, 6. We have to repeat this 4 times. 0, 1, 2, 3 it has to come. Correct? So 0, 1, 2, 3. Did you understand? What is this j going to be replaced with? In our example 3. And let's write here j plus plus. And we will print s out temp of j. Now let's debug and see this now. Let's debug and see this now. Observe. So here I'll be little fast because we've already done this. Okay. Now see. At this step, the value of j is what? 3. Which means this will be replaced with 3. Since there is equal operator, loop will run 0, 1, 2, 3. So for 0, so this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And the loop will stop printing those values. What is the first value it is printing? Right? 3. Then it will print the second value, then third value. Then we are going with index out of bound exception now. Right? So you observe here, we are getting index out of bound exception. Can you tell me why? Because this should have been m. Did you understand now? Not j. The value of m is changing, no. 0, 1, 2, 3. That shouldn't have been j. Did you understand what I said? Observe. Now it is entering into infinite loop. Can you tell me what is the mistake I've done here? Huh? Tell me what is the mistake I've done? No. What is the mistake? You observe this and tell me here. This should have been m plus plus. Did you understand? Everyone, did you get this? Right? So now see, we got the output. You can debug this. You can understand this in a more detailed manner. Right? But did this debugging help you to understand the logic? Everyone, did you understand this logic? Yeah? Yes, no? Yes, no? Everyone, clear with this part? Do you have any doubts? In today's class, any doubts? Do you want to practice this logic? Or shall I continue with the next concept? What shall we do? Huh? Next is again logic. If I continue same, this much time I will take. I cannot continue for 5 minutes. If I continue, I'll continue same time. Or practice. Okay, so practice this much. Tomorrow we have alumni meet. Some place students interactions will try to, create tomorrow. You can ask the questions. What all interview questions are there, which they are getting it currently. They will speak one by one, starting at 12:30 tomorrow. Okay? As I mentioned, we will keep one alumni meet. Let's do that. Though it's a festive season, actually many students have gone to their hometown because of Holi and Ramzan and things like that. But still, we have daily placements happening, so we have managed some numbers. I think some 40 people should be there tomorrow. If not, the worst case, it might be little less. But we will have a good interaction with them, and we will make this interaction tomorrow online live as well. And offline people can come offline. Is this clear?